Okay, Mouse says we're live. Thank you all for coming to the second presentation for Immersive Edge. Today we have Aine Caoimhe with us. She's an artist and scripter in OpenSim. I don't know if most people are aware that she wrote the script for the one-click NPC pose ball we give away at Nara's Nook. She is also the creator of the NPC dance ball we all know and love. You can find her art and her scripting wizardry if you visit the Refuge Grid. I'm going to turn you over to Anya, and she's going to demonstrate how the PMAC works and explains how to use it. I think this is the most incredible thing she's designed yet, and it was essential to powering some of our Immersive Edge scenes. Anya will be texting her talk to you, and I'll be reading that talk aloud for the video recording. Hello everyone, my name is Aine Caoimhe. I'm a creator of the PMAC system, one of the tools that was used by many of the creators for this Hypergrid story project. My presentation today will be an introduction to the system to give you an idea of what it is and how it can be useful to you. Not only if you undertake a project like Immersive Edge, but more generally for your regions or for other special projects. I will ask you to hold any questions until the end of my presentation, at which point I'll be happy to answer any general ones you might have. For any specific or special case questions, please speak with me afterwards. Let's get started. PMAC is an acronym for Paramore Multi-Animation Controller. Paramore is the brand name I've been using for most of my products since my original store in Paramore Winery region in OS Grid was... Hang on, if you all would ease up on the chat world there. It keeps moving when I'm trying to read. I was looking for something that was far less demanding on the simulator. Sorry. I totally lost my place here. When I mention MLP, for most of you, you will instantly think sex bed, but MLP can actually be used for lots of PG-rated activities too. The lack of variety you see is probably more a product of MLP being very non-user-friendly for setting up and adjusting. The core need of a system like this is for two people to be placed in a set position and with synchronized animations and to be able to change those. It doesn't matter if they're animations for dancing, standing around, chatting, sitting on a sofa, or other more R-rated pursuits. The fundamental function remains the same. Let's look at the key features I designed the PMAC system to provide, since that describes most of what PMAC does. The PMAC system is a script that is placed in something that sits in a region along with some animations and some information about how to play them. I wanted the flexibility to be able to put it into any object, a bed, a sofa, even a single prim sculpted or mesh, anything. Being able to work with a single prim object was a critical requirement. Of course, it works quite happily in link sets too. Here's a surprise for you. I'm using PMAC to do this presentation. The panel you see behind me is a simple single prim cube with the PMAC script inside it. I'm sitting on it and it's controlling my position and animations and much more. My experience with the MLP put the next feature almost at the top of my priority list. No pose balls. As a scripter, anytime you res a pose ball, you have to worry about where to res it. Can the user see it? Can they sit on it? What if the user crashes? How do you ensure that you don't end up stranding a bunch of pose balls in a sim? For the user, it's much easier and more intuitive to just sit on something. You don't have to touch it, respond to a dialogue or two, wait for a pair of pose balls to res, and then sit on the right one. It's an immersion killer and cumbersome. PMAC works entirely without pose balls. You just sit on the object and it takes care of the rest. Next on my list, I didn't want to be confined to only 2 users. For some things, like a large multi-person sofa, I wanted the flexibility of controlling the position and animations played by 3 users or 4, or in the end, I set the limit at 9. In reality, with only a very minor script modification, PMAC can support even more, potentially up to 65 simultaneous users, which is the viewer's limit for avatar display. As you can see, it also happily accommodates just one. I do a lot of work with NPCs as an integral part of my builds and as a fun extra component for many of my products. I'm sure anyone who has seen my dance ball system I'm sorry there. Any position that an avatar can occupy can also have an NPC there. And as some version 1.02, it's even possible to have a PMAC object occupied only by one or more NPCs, as you'll see throughout Immersive Edge. PMAC happily accepts NPCs res by other scripts and told to sit on it, but it also has a fully integrated NPC controller to res and later remove NPCs. When you use PMAC to control the NPC, you choose from a list of all available NPCs in its inventory, and you can even select the same NPC more than once. I am asking a couple of Ruths to join me using PMAC's integrated control. I use Ruth because she travels easily between grids and reses quickly, but you can use any NPC appearance no card. Your NPC doesn't even have to look like an avatar. It could just as easily be an invisible NPC wearing a tree or a house or anything. I wanted any user to be able to be in control of the system, to be able to pick which animation is being played. It doesn't matter what order you sit down, it's the first person to subsequently activate the dialogue system who becomes the initial controller of the object. While from a practicality standpoint, only one user can be in control, it is important to be able what happens here is when somebody logs in, it bumps my reading up and I lose the place that I was reading. It doesn't matter what order you sit down, we've got that. Well, it's particularly important in a case where the current controller either crashes or goes unexpectedly AFK. Another user would need to be able to take over. PMAC can also be configured to only allow the owner to be in control for applications where that's important. I also wanted to make the potential uses for a single object to be as flexible as possible. As an example, think of a large sofa. I might want it to be able to accommodate perhaps 3 or 4 avatars seated on it when I am entertaining guests, but I might also want it to be a nice place to cuddle with a special someone or even more friendly. Or if I'm by myself, I may just want to sit and relax there or lie down for a snooze. I wanted to be able to have all of that in one sofa with one script, with one configuration, and then just pick which of those options I want to play at any given moment. I also wanted to limit who could access which of those options. PMAC allows all of that, and it handles it on the fly. To put it bluntly, MLP is a beast on sim resources, particularly when it's in use. It's even worse when it's initializing. I wanted something that didn't eat up unnecessary resources. My target for PMAC was for the same as all my other products, close to 0 footprint on the sim when it's idle, and only minimal overhead when you're using it. Using OSSL functions, I was able to achieve that. For those who aren't familiar with OSSL, these are additional special scripting functions only available in OpenSim. They are usually a lot more powerful and often a lot more efficient, but they also need to be handled with some care. PMAC makes use of OSSL functions that allows it to do things that are impossible in SL or require workarounds that use a lot more resources. The functions it uses are mostly the same ones my dance ball needs, so if you have one of those in your region, PMAC may not require any additional OpenSIM configuration. It does use MLP also requires a large number of scripts to work to typical setup. Even a very small one will have at least 6 and often more. Each of those eats resources and simulator memory even when idle. Thanks to OSL, PMAC only needs a single script to achieve all core functionality and uses virtually no resources until someone sits. When active, PMAC consumes about 1/20th of the resources of comparable MLP system. For large, complex setups, the relative footprint is even less. Another common issue with MLP is the frequency of it having issues that require a restart. MLP's reset often takes a very long time and consumes a high amount of SIM resources. Recent versions of MLP are more stable, but that startup time and resource use is still nasty, and it can easily take 30 seconds for a relatively modest system and consumes more than 1,500 milliseconds of script frame time. During use, larger MLP systems tend to be very slow since they hold and work with the entire setup at all times, which makes it more prone to glitches. It also seems to keep everything in memory, even when idle, giving it a large footprint, sometimes bordering on maximum allowed script memory. PMAC uses a real-time data reading and handling method that allows it to hold only the current menu and a couple of other pieces of data in memory. This makes it blisteringly fast to start, much faster when navigating menus, and far less prone to problems even in very large, complex setups. A typical PMAC system reset takes less than a second and uses under 100 milliseconds of frame time. It rarely uses more than a tiny fraction of a script's memory limit. A small but important feature, the system needs a sync function that works. It's impossible to properly sync such animations for someone if they don't already have them cached in their viewer. But once received, you should be able to click a sync button and have it work. A change made to OpenSIM code in 2012 broke the sync function. I pioneered a fix for that, which PMAC uses. Many other systems like MLP are still broken. I also wanted PMAC to have an auto mode where it could play a series of animations without any need for a user controlling it. This flexibility helps with immersion, reduces distractions, and lets it be used as a sort of multi-person AO, which is great for some applications. You can easily switch in and out of auto on the fly. This also allows PMAC to be used only by NPCs who can't operate dialogues. It's that capability that helped make it such a useful tool for Immersive Edge, where it can work without any live input from its users. Position swapping is another important feature and is further enhanced by being something you can do on the fly to any position at any time, even if nobody else is using it. For a sofa, a single pose might have an animation position for the left side, another for the middle, and a third for the right. While playing that pose, you can swap back and forth between positions, even if it's empty. If you're by yourself, it gives you 3 different places to sit, all with just one pose. You can continue to use that position's locations and animations as you cycle through other poses in the menu. This can turn a single simple setup into an incredibly flexible piece of furniture that's suitable for a wide variety of situations. It's hard to convey just how powerful this feature can be until you actually play with it. Anyone who has owned an MLP system shudders when they think about the need to edit or tweak positions. It involves jumping through a bunch of hoops, a lot of copy paste, is very prone to introducing errors, and requires a full system reset afterwards. PMAC makes changing positions easy as and as foolproof as possible. You enter edit mode, move some handles which the users follow, then click store on the dialog. PMAC takes care of the rest, rapidly and flawlessly, without you ever needing to open the note card. You have the choice of whether to make the change a temporary one that only lasts for the current session, or to see that it's persisted in the note card for all subsequent use. No system reset is needed, it's all done on the fly. It's even scarier to set up MLP from scratch. Most people don't even try. I won't lie and say that PMAC is child's play, but I do think it's a lot easier than MLP. Given how deeply entrenched MLP is in OpenSim, I knew that any chance for PMAC to become successful and widely used would depend on making it possible for someone who knows nothing about how this stuff works, to convert an existing MLP system into a PMAC system. Thankfully, Seth the Guard rose to the challenge and wrote a nifty little utility script that does it all automatically for you. A complete novice can convert the largest MLP system in less than 5 minutes following a few simple instructions. I can vouch for that. I've done it. There are times when you might want to limit a system's use to only the owner or a group of people, or you might have special menu or a special NPC that you might want visible to you, but not to anyone else who's using. PMAC has a very flexible setup and configuration controls that require almost no scripting knowledge, and lets you do this as well as set many other useful options. All the configuration options can either be set directly in the script or in an optional configuration note card that looks for and reads if it's present. The default values are usually fine for most setups, though, and won't require any adjustments.
Okay, you have something now, I believe.
I'm going to just read this little part right here. It's very hard to limit myself to only a short synopsis of PMAC add-ons feature. In my mind, it's the single most powerful capability. It's also the only one that requires a fairly high degree of scripting. I wanted PMAC to be very efficient, but I also wanted it to be capable of many diverse specialized or custom applications. Those two design goals almost never go together. Okay, if anybody has any questions they would like to ask Anya, I think we are at about our half-hour time limit here. If you have questions, it's okay to type in the chat right now, and if I don't see any questions popping up, I'm going to go ahead and get Anya to pick up her screen here. And I'm just going to give you a few pointers on how to get through the story so you can take off and go start enjoying the launch of Immersive Edge. And how is this? Okay, I just realized the world voice was off for you all. Okay, any questions for Anya? We're going to go ahead and move up the next presentation then, Anya. Thank you very much for joining us and giving us information about the PMAC. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for the edit feature to come up so I can move this board forward. I can't do anything with it. I can't move hers either.
I'm just interrupting you. I gather that the in-world chat is frozen. Anybody watching the stream at the moment? I'm watching the chat on the stream, so if you do have any quick questions, I'll be able to see them there and forward them.
Here comes edit. I can move on the screen up now.
Yeah. Probably.
And Anya, apparently. Sorry, Anya, you're going to be flying for a little while here. I don't know if she's still. There we go. And we have people making their way back, so that's making things a little laggy. And there we go. I think I'm on my screen now. And things are not running, of course. So as Anya said, chat is extremely lagged out. So I would just talk to you here rather quickly in person. Seems that we have a lot of people logging back in since the region crash, and that's slowing things up a little bit. What we need to do today to view Immersive Edge is to set your viewer settings to run the region win light so you get the full effect of the experience that the creators planned for you. I also need for you to turn on streaming media such as voice and video because many of the presentations and NPC interactions that you will see might rely on some of those features. So it's nice if you have some of those things enabled and ready to run when they're available. Also, when you first land in a region, we ask you to stay still. As you're resing there, stay still until you can see the world res around you. The reason for this is that collision prims activate the story and start the NPCs playing their roles. And you're going in a larger group that's going to involve maybe 10, 15 people landing and resing around you. So if you move forward, you'll start it all before they're ready to see it. So when you land, wait there. When you can see things, when your friends are around you, then you can progress forward and you can all see the thing together. We also ask that when you talk in world that you use either voice or IM to talk to each other. This is because the story plays out in local chat, and if you're chattering in the local chat, that gets the story lost in the chatter. And without my slides working, I think, oh, here we go. I've got slides now. I can pop here to the last one, make sure I didn't forget anything. Got it all there. Okay. So just want to back up a little bit here if I can. And no, it's not going to let me back up. Wait a minute. There it goes. Squeeze in a display of the various creators of each region. This is the first 6 regions. Give you a quick look at that. We actually had 25 creators on this project, but these are the main creators for each scene. And let's get the last one up here. Those are the creators for the last scene. Take a note that scene 10 has 3 parts. When you get to the end of scene 9, you're going to choose the ending for this couple. So you'll have a choice of A, B, or C, depending on which gate you walk through. And that's about all I have for you to get to the story start. I'm just going to walk through this gate over here. Anybody has a question for me, they can hang around and ask it. Thank you very much for joining us and for enduring the technical difficulties. Okay, guys.